considering that there will no be reversal of this referendum outcome, and considering that we will go on with it, and regardless of whether the 2-year period starts next month or next week or in 2 months' time, looking at the bigger scheme of things is looking at the way that the United Kingdom exports, half of its exports go to the EU, while only 5 to 7% of the EU's exports go to the UK. That means that the UK needs the EU more than vice versa. So what that means, when that stops and when those trade flows are hampered by, let's say, new WTO rules that are going to be hampered by tariffs and the quotas, what that means is that those trade flows that the UK will depend on from the EU, they're going to go down. Now, before I go to the pound, there is something called the current account deficit in the UK, which is not 2% or 3%, it's 4.5% of GDP. So when those trade flows stop, it's likely it's going to go from 4.5% to 5% to 6% to 7%. And that's one of the highest in the G20s. And there is also talk that maybe the BOE will cut interest rates next month. So you take the current account deficit expected to widen. You take a growth expected to slow further. I do think there is probably a recession in around December. And the trade flows. Yes, we could be talking about 120 or 115.
Ashraf, I want to jump in here to Kiko over in Singapore and talk about the Bank of Japan, because the concern is, the talk is here of intervention, but the reality is Bank of Japan has not been able to weaken the yen. When you look at negative interest rates introduced in January, the yen has actually surged 15% since. So what specific policies can they take at this point?
They cannot do much. There is not enough JGBs to buy. The only thing for them to do is they have to create ETFs for them to buy, and that may take probably 5 to 6 months. The Fed is trying to raise rates. They can't lift the dollar. The BOJ is trying to cut. It's trying to reduce the yen. They can't. And I think the yen is going to go below 98.